Right now, somewhere in the world, a horse is standing completely still in the middle of a dark field. Its eyes are half open. Its body looks frozen. And if you walked up to it, you might think it was dead. But it's not dead. It's sleeping. And here's where things get weird. Because the way horses sleep is so bizarre, so unlike anything else in the animal kingdom, that scientists are still trying to figure out why they do it. Horses can lock their legs and sleep standing up. They dream, but only when they're lying down. They have a third eyelid most people don't even know exists. And some of the things they do between midnight and sunrise would honestly creep you out if you saw them in person. So today, we're going deep into the strangest things horses do when nobody's watching. And trust me, by the end of this video, you will never look at a horse the same way again. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the most obvious one. Horses sleep standing up. You probably already knew that. But do you know how they actually do it? Because it's not willpower. It's not balance. It's something way more interesting. Horses have what's called a stay apparatus. And no, that's not a piece of equipment. It's a system of tendons and ligaments built into their legs that essentially lets them lock their knees and hips in place. Think of it like a biological kickstand. They engage it, and their legs become rigid columns. No muscle effort required. This means a horse can stand for hours, completely unconscious, without falling over. And this isn't some rare thing. This is how horses get most of their sleep, every single night. Now, why would an animal evolve to sleep standing up? The answer is predators. In the wild, lying down is dangerous. It takes a horse several seconds to get back on its feet. And when a wolf or a mountain lion is sprinting toward you, those seconds are the difference between life and death. So horses evolved to rest while standing, ready to bolt at the first sign of trouble, even while they're unconscious. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Standing sleep isn't real sleep. Not completely. When a horse is standing and sleeping, it's only in what scientists call slow wave sleep. That's the light stuff. The background maintenance mode your brain goes into to save energy. But for deep sleep, for actual REM sleep, the kind where dreaming happens, a horse has to lie down. There's no way around it. And this is where it gets fascinating, because horses are extremely vulnerable when they're lying flat on the ground. So they don't do it often, and they don't do it for long. Most horses only lie down for about 20 to 30 minutes at a time, sometimes less. And they only need about 30 minutes of REM sleep total per day. Some researchers say as little as 25 minutes. But here's what's wild. If a horse doesn't feel safe, it simply won't lie down. At all. For days. Sometimes weeks. A horse in a new stable or around unfamiliar horses might go weeks without REM sleep. And when that happens, things start to go wrong. The horse gets clumsy. It stumbles. It starts collapsing without warning. There have been cases where horse owners thought their animal was having seizures. They rushed it to the vet, ran every test, and the diagnosis was simple. The horse was just exhausted. It hadn't been lying down to sleep because it didn't feel safe enough. Think about that for a second. An animal so wired for survival that it will literally deprive itself of deep sleep rather than risk being caught lying down. Now let's talk about something that genuinely unsettles people who see it for the first time. Horses can sleep with their eyes partially open. If you ever walked past a horse at night and seen it standing there with glazed, half-lidded eyes staring at nothing, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It looks wrong, like something out of a horror movie. But there's a reason for this. And it goes back to that same survival instinct. Horses have a third eyelid. It's called the nictitating membrane. Most people have no idea it exists. This membrane sits in the inner corner of the eye. And when a horse is sleeping, it can slide across the eyeball diagonally, protecting the surface of the eye from dust and debris while still allowing some light to pass through. So the horse appears to be staring at you with these cloudy, unfocused eyes. But it's actually sleeping behind a biological shield. And here's the kicker. Horses have the largest eyes of any land mammal, bigger than elephants, bigger than giraffes. Each eye is roughly 34 millimeters across. So when you see those massive half-open eyes glow in the dark, it's genuinely eerie. But the horse is just napping. Now, since we're talking about their eyes, let's go deeper. because horse vision is absolutely nothing like human vision. Humans have a forward-facing field of view of about 180 degrees. That's it. Half the world around you is invisible at any given moment. Horses can see nearly 350 degrees around their body, almost a full circle, without moving their head. Their eyes sit on the sides of their skull, which gives them this massive panoramic view of the world. They can see something approaching from almost directly behind them, but there's a trade-off, and this one blows people's minds. Horses have two blind spots. One is directly behind their tail, which most people would guess, but the other one is directly in front of their face. That's right, a horse cannot see the grass it's eating. It cannot see your hand when you hold a treat right under its nose. There's a cone of invisibility that extends about 3 to 4 feet in front of their face. So when a horse reaches down to graze, it's doing it entirely by feel and smell. It has zero visual information about what's right in front of its mouth. This is also why horses sometimes spook at things that are directly ahead of them. You might think they can see the puddle or the plastic bag on the ground, but from their perspective, it just appeared out of nowhere as they move forward. And at night, with limited light, these blind spots become even more disorienting, which might explain some of the strange behaviors horses show after dark. Okay, now we're getting into the really weird territory. Let's talk about the flehmen response. If you've ever seen a horse curl its upper lip back, raise its head in the air, and make this bizarre grimacing face, you've witnessed a flehmen response. It looks ridiculous. It looks like the horse just tasted something horrible. People film it all the time because it's funny, but the horse isn't being funny. It's activating a secret sense organ that humans don't have. Inside the horse's nasal cavity, there's something called Jacobson's organ. It's also called the vomeronasal organ, and it's basically a chemical detector. When a horse curls its lip and breathes in, it's pushing air across this organ. And Jacobson's organ can detect things that regular smell can't. Pheromones, chemical signals from other horses, changes in the environment. Horses do this more at night. And scientists think it's because in low light, when vision is less reliable, horses rely more on chemical sensing to understand what's happening around them. So that strange grimacing face isn't random. The horse is reading the air like a chemistry textbook. Here's a fact that sounds made up, but is absolutely real. Horses cannot vomit. It is physically impossible for them. At the entrance of a horse's stomach, there's a muscle called the cardiac sphincter. And in horses, this muscle is the strongest sphincter of any species on the planet. It works as a one-way valve. Food goes in. Nothing comes back out. Ever. On top of that, the angle where the esophagus meets the stomach is extremely sharp in horses. So even if the valve could somehow relax, the food would have to travel around a near 90-degree bend to get back up, and the muscles lining their esophagus can't reverse direction. In humans, when you vomit, your esophagus contracts upward. Horses simply can't do that. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's interesting, but what does that have to do with nighttime behavior? Here's the connection. Because horses can't vomit, they're extremely vulnerable to stomach problems, especially a condition called colic. And colic is actually the #1 killer of domestic horses. When a horse is colic at night, it does some truly alarming things. It rolls on the ground violently. It paws at the earth. It kicks at its own stomach. It sweats even when it's cold out. If you didn't know what was happening, you'd think the horse was possessed. But it's in severe pain and has no way to expel whatever is causing the problem. This is one of the reasons horses behave strangely at night, and it's directly connected to this one bizarre anatomical feature. Let's end with something that might be the most unsettling thing on this entire list. And I mean unsettling in the best possible way. Horses remember you, not just your shape, not just your voice. They remember how you made them feel. Researchers at the University of Sussex showed horses photographs of people making angry or happy facial expressions. Just photographs. Brief exposure. Then hours later, they brought the actual person into the room, this time with a completely neutral expression. And the horses reacted differently depending on which photo they had seen. The horses who had seen the angry photo showed elevated heart rates. They watched the person more carefully. They kept their left eye pointed at them, which in horses is associated with processing negative or threatening stimuli. The horses who had seen the happy photo were relaxed. So not only can horses read your emotional state from your face, they can store that information and recall it the next time they see you, even if you're acting totally neutral. That means if you yelled at a horse last Tuesday, it still remembers. It still associates your face with anger, and it's adjusting its behavior around you right now because of a moment you probably forgot about. Horses hold grudges. They carry emotional memories, and they're paying attention to your facial expressions in a way that most people don't realize. So the next time you walk past a horse at night and it turns its massive eye toward you in the dark, just know this. It remembers you. It knows your face. And it knows exactly how you made it feel last time. Sleep well. If this video blew your mind, you're going to love what's coming next. We got more videos on this channel that go deep into the things you never knew about horses. Hit subscribe so you don't miss them. Drop a comment telling me which fact surprised you the most. And share this with someone who thinks they know everything about horses. I'll see you in the next one.